2 days ago, I made a video about the President of the United States decision to suspend immigrants to come to the United States of America, or rather say, suspension of immigration to come to the United States. The video I broke down into two main parts. The one part is overall the decision, what does that mean of 60 days? And I explain how the possible that decision will go at least 4 months. That's why on my video, I want to make a clarification. I was talking more about 4 months instead of just 60 days, because 60 days, it might be extended no matter what, how the situation of the work, labor market, and everything. And also I made another video, which had a very good news about the green card lottery will not be suspended. Because what is suspended is just for the period of 60 days, is just overall green card in general. Whether it will be by marriage, whether it will be by lottery, whether it will be by work, by whatever means it is. So that was overall. So in this video, what makes the difference? So the President, Donald J. Trump, has signed that proclamation, has signed the official executive decision. So I'm going to break down each part of the decision. What are the overall general provisions and what are the exceptions? So by understanding this proclamation, by understanding each part of this official document signed, we can be able to be safe and to know exactly which people will be affected, from which day the decision has started until which day exactly that suspension will end, and if it's going to be extended, possible for how long, and what does that mean for the current green card lottery winners who are waiting to come, who are won for the DV 2020, and the one who will be expecting the results, which in one of the videos I've already explained, it will be not June 5th, will be not May 5th, it will be June 6th when they are going to be the next results. So stay with me, and I'm going to explain to you the proclamation suspending entry of immigrants to the United States who are making a risk to the US labor market. What does that mean? Each provisions in the proclamation or in the executive decision by the President of the United States, Honorable Donald J. Trump. So stay with me and follow with me. I'm going to share with you my screen. You can be able to see and understand each part of this proclamation. So thank you, and stay tuned to continue the second part of this video. Welcome everyone. As you can see here on my computer, I have the proclamation signed by the US President, Donald J. Trump, which I'm going to explain to you or show to you some of the provisions and as well as some of the restrictions and some of the areas where there are some exceptions which apply to who, under what circumstances, and how does that is going to be related to overall the green card in general, because some people are having some concern about green card lottery. So I'll link on how with that one affecting people who are applying for the green card, especially green card lottery. And if we are talking about other type of green card, which type of other green cards have been also affected by this one. But to make it very, very easy, I'll go by starting to go to going through some of the main parts of this one, and I will explain who who is not affected, or what this proclamation doesn't apply to who overall when I'm going to explain, but also to provide some exceptions, which will be determined by the consular officers when you are appearing for the interview. So as you can see here, it is given by White House. So this is www for .whitehouse.gov. Any website with the domain .gov is the part from the US government. So that you had to know that we are talking about things with the actual one. And if I scroll down here, you can see, I'm going to the end first of all before I go into details. You can see it is being signed by Donald J. Trump, the President of the United States of America. So the purpose of this one, as you can see, it says proclamation suspending entry of immigrants who present risk. So these are presenting risk to the U.S. labor market during the economic recovery following the COVID-19 outbreak. So overall, the purpose or the reasoning behind suspending immigrants to enter into the United States, because these immigrants are posing the challenge or risk to the U.S. labor market, especially during the time of the recovery. So that we need to know that. And because we are talking about immigrants, so people, let's be clear. When we are talking about immigrants, we are talking people who are having immigrant visas. Someone who is coming as a student, someone who is coming as a tourist, that is not immigrant, is coming as a non-immigrant, is coming under temporary visas. So that will have to be clear on that. So that this one is talking about immigrants, entry of immigrants, not entry of non-immigrants. So we have to distinguish between the two. So this one was issued on April 22nd. That's you have to know. And when it's going to be into effect, is going to be starting on April 23rd, midnight of April 23rd, which I'll go to show you on the, it will be already given somewhere here. When it's going to be into effect, it's going to be into effect on midnight of, I'll show you it is somewhere, whatever. Yeah, when I reach that point, you will see. So effective date is this one. So it's starting on April 23rd, on midnight of this time. Okay, so it was signed on April 22nd, or was initially April 22nd, but effective start is April 23rd. So we know there is a COVID-19 which has severe effect, but let me give you something you have to understand. When we are talking about labor market, and that's why this one is talking about, we'll see it is talking about 60 days, but basically it will be extended. Why is going to be extended? Just see, read this line. In the days between National Emergency Declaration and April 11, 2020, more than 22 million Americans have filed for unemployment. 22 million Americans. So do you want to tell me within 60 days, they can be able to allow to end this suspension just after 60 days, while there are over 60 million people, 22 million people within 60 days? It will be difficult. And up to this time, we are still in the lockdown in many states. Few states, they have started opening, but the majority of the state are still. For instance, my state of Missouri, it said it will be May 3rd, but the city of Kansas City, because we have Kansas City in Kansas and Kansas City in Missouri, both these mayors, they have said they are going to open on May 15th. So still it will be going up. So the possibility of having 60 days is very, very slim. So it will be extended. And how it's going to be extended, I will explain to you what are the reasoning on how they're going to be extending. Okay, so I have determined that without intervention, I'm reading here. Without intervention, the United States faces potential protracted economic recovery with persistent high unemployment if the labor supply outpaces the labor demand. So this is is going to explain. Excess labor supply affects all workers. And especially when we are talking about between unemployment and people coming here under immigrant visas. So the aim is to protect the labor market in the United States. That is the overall purpose. So furthermore, lawful permanent residents, once admitted, are granted the open market employment authorization document allowing them immediately eligible to compete for almost jobs in any sector of the economy. There is no way to protect already disadvantaged and unemployed Americans from the threat of competition for scarce jobs from new lawful permanent residents by directing those newly residents to particular economic classes with a demonstrated need to not met by existing labor market. So this is the purpose why they're all doing all these kind of things. So because of that, they put the proclamation. So these are some of the exceptions, some of the provisions in the proclamation. Number 1, section 1 is saying suspension and limitation on entry. The entry into the United States of aliens as immigrants is hereby suspended and limited subject to section 2 of this proclamation. So let's go to section 2, which explains the scope of the suspension. But remember, we are talking about immigrants. We are talking about people related to green cards. Scope of the suspension and limitation of entry, section 2A. The suspension and the limitation on entry pursuant to section 1 of this proclamation shall apply only to aliens who, number 1, who is affected, or it applies to who? Number 1, aliens who are outside of the United States, effective on the date of this proclamation. So number 1, you must be in the outside of the United States. So this means it doesn't apply to people who are in the United States. So if you win green card lottery, if you get a green card lottery by employment, by work, by whatever, as long as you are in the United States, it doesn't affect you. But if you are outside of the United States, that affects you. So it affects people outside of the United States. So if you are already in the US, it doesn't affect you if you wanted to do adjustment of status or you have won the green card lottery, you can continue with the processes. 2, it applies to those who do not have immigrant visas that is valid on the effective date of this proclamation. There are so many people who already have visas. I have a friend who is in Fiji. I have another person is in Uganda. They have won the green card lottery. They have already done the interview. They have visa at hand. They have those 6 months to come to America. One of the questions they ask, is this going to affect us? No, it doesn't affect you because you already have visa on hand. At the time of the proclamation, you already have the visa. This applies to the people who do not have visas yet. They are planning to go to the US Embassy to do the interview. So you will not do the interview until this suspension is lifted or is removed. And also it goes, I'm not going to everyone, those who don't have the travel document, whatever, things of that nature. But also, this suspension of entry shall not apply to the following. So there are people who are not affected by this. Number 1, if you are already a green card lottery, if you are already a green card holder, either you are in US, whether you are outside of the US, you are a green card holder. You are already a green card, you have the card. It doesn't affect you. Secondly, if you are coming here, even if you are outside of the US, but you are coming here as, let's say, work visa. You are coming as green card by work, but your work is a physician, nurse, healthcare professional to perform medical research and things related to combating spread of COVID-19. This kind of work will not be affected, shall not apply to this one. And also, he's talking about the spouse and people who can be able to join them. Another category, there is what we call EB5 visa, Immigrant Investor Program. So if you are coming to the United States to invest, and usually this one is starting, I think, $1 million US. If you're coming to invest, that means you're coming to create more jobs. So you'll be allowed to come here and continue to operate. So you'll be given the green card under the EB5 Immigrant Investor Program. Again, if you are alien who is the spouse of the US citizen, because there are different ways of getting green card. One of the way of getting green card is through green card by marriage. So if your spouse is American citizen, is going to do application for you to come to America to get immigrant visas, which is green card, by sponsoring you as a spouse by marriage, that means you'll be given the visa. Meaning, So people who are coming in the US by green card lottery will be affected if you don't have the visa right now. If you are planning to come for work, but your work is not related to healthcare professional, and the things related to performing medical research or combating the spread of COVID-19, you will not be given the green card. Again, children of the US citizens who are under the age of 21 will also be not affected by this one. Also, we are talking about people of the national interest, spouse of the armed forces. Those are not affected, those national interests here. But also, something which is also very, very important is to consider that in the implementation of this one, the consular officer in that country, in the US embassy will be going, shall determine in his or her discretion whether an immigrant has established his or her ability of exceptions in section 2B of this proclamation. So for instance, if you say you are coming here, you are applying green card to come here under the marriage, you need to show all the documentation that you are married and you are coming here under that one spouse sponsorship, you'll be able to do that. If you are coming here, you are getting green card to come here under the work related, but it's supposed to be by medical professionals related to COVID-19 and those categories that I've mentioned, the consular will be able to determine that. So that is something about implementation about on this one. Remember, at this point, most of the US embassies, almost all US embassies around the world have been closed. So even if this proclamation is not there, you cannot go to the US embassy unless otherwise you are coming under emergency. But again, there are things which are not affected at all. So if the people who are looking for asylum, refugee status, those people are not affected by this. They can still process. So this, they say, nothing in this proclamation shall be construed to limit the ability of an individual to seek asylum, refugee status, with all of removal or protection under the Convention Against Torture and other cruel, inhuman, and degrading treatment of or punishment, consistent with the laws of the United States. So this proclamation or this executive order is validly going to expire after 60 days. But remember, before any day after 30, it says like effective with that one, and it may be continued as necessary, but whenever appropriate, but not later than 50 days from the effective date of this proclamation, the Secretary of Homeland Security shall, in consultation with the Secretary of State and the Secretary of Labor, recommend whether I should continue or modify this proclamation. So basically, they will determine, the US President, in consultation with the Secretary of Homeland Security and the Secretary of State and the Secretary of Labor, they will be able to advise and be able to make it the determination whether they are going to extend or not. But whether we like it or not, this one will be extended. That is the fact. As I've been mentioning, yes, it is 60 days, but at least it will go to 120 days. At least it will go for 4 months, because there is no way after this. We are talking about 22 million people have lost their job. Here is the data from up to the April. This one, 22 million Americans have filed for unemployment. So there is no way. Up to now, most of the states have been closed, are still in lockdown. Most of the industries, most of the companies, they are not opening. People have lost their jobs within 60 days. So basically within 30 days, because you remove the first 60 days, the first 30 days will be, most of the states will be into still this chaos. So there is no way within 60 days this one will be removed. The higher possibility, they will add at least 60 more days. So that's why I've been talking about 120 days. So it has been effective on this date and it will continue. Additional measures they've been talking about here. So these are the main parts of this proclamation. things which people need to know is to make sure that they understand that this one is not going to say, I have completely, indefinitely decided to suspend or close green card lottery, or to stop complete H1, or to stop something else. They will be determining, they will be adding month after month, but at one point, for instance, green card lottery will still be there. There are things, if those changes need to be done, they have to go to the Congress first to be debated and then to be approved by the Congress, and not by executive order like this way. But this one is one of the ways to be able to help Americans with the possibility of economic recovery and getting jobs. So I'm sure I've been able to answer most of the parts of this proclamation or executive order, and what does that mean for people who are looking for whether it will be green card by lottery, green card by marriage, green card by work. You know now what are these parts of the proclamation and why they say immigrants will be presenting risk to labor market is because over 22 million people are up to April 11, they are unemployed and they have filed for unemployment benefit, and it will be continuing. And now they're talking about another stimulus check, the second phase. If that goes through, that means that is going to add more pressure to continue to suspend the immigrants to enter, because of the avoiding the competition of the labor market and protecting the internal market for quite some time for that particular case. I'm sure I've been able to answer most of these questions. In case you have any question, please let me know. But out of that, I'm really appreciating for what you have been able to support me, and any question, please let me know, and I'll be happy to respond within a few days. Okay, goodbye everyone, and remember to subscribe to my YouTube channel.